Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Brilliant Business TV, conversations with leading experts in business. I am your host, Mark Stephen Pooler. Today we have a wonderful guest, June Cline. Everything she does revolves about having humour and having a fun time. She's a dear friend, and I can't wait to introduce her to you all. We are streaming live on mspnewsglobal.com, Facebook, Twitter, post-production, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and we're also streaming through the E360 TV network under Fresh Takes, going out to Apple TV, Fire TV, Android TV, Roku, and many more. I just have to make an official shout out to our show sponsors, Craig Shelley, Beverly Hills Luxury Watches and Fine Jewelry at craigshelley.com. So who would like to bring more humour into their business and into their life? Welcome, June Cline. Hey June, welcome to Brilliance Business TV.
Mark, it is so exciting to be with you. It just makes me want to go ape. One of the things I love to do, get some action and craziness going on. I'm excited to be here.
I am really looking forward to a conversation with you today, June. You ride a Harley, you're all about having fun, and you're a professional speaker, entrepreneur, author, also a coach helping people to funny up. I would like to go backwards a little bit, June. Can you just tell us a little bit about your background and where you have come from that has led you to do what you do today?
I would love to go backward. I'd love to go backward in time. Actually, it's fun to go back. My family, I grew up in rural Alabama, which I'm not sure why they have Southern people live in rural Alabama, because it's really hard to say. Your tongue does not know what to do with rural. So I started there. I grew up, my young and impressionable age was in Fayette, Alabama. And my family is a great source of my humor.
Amazing. And just tell us a little bit about your journey now, June, and what you do in business.
Well, this lag is fun and interesting. Talk about a pregnant pause. And pause is really powerful in humor, and it's one of the key elements that people have to understand, to have the pause. But this across this big pond is a little much. So I stumbled into humor just by my family circumstances. I came out punching a lot of the time because our family was very dysfunctional. I can't imagine that I'm the only one that came from a dysfunctional family. We loved each other. We just didn't know how to express it sometimes. So I'm really good at sarcasm. I grew up knowing how to do that. And then it transferred really well in my corporate world. And I started getting promotions and advancements and being known, being visible. that's one of the things I want people to come away with today, is understanding the power of initiating laughter, because it does make you visible.
I hear you, and it's so important to use humor, June. I think sometimes, especially in the speaking world, it's so important that we bring that little bit of humor, because sometimes it can be very serious and it's very easy to bring the audience's energy down. So it's really important to add those little bits of humor into the speech to really bring out the energy of the room, and not to bring the energy of the room down as well. So tell us a little bit how you support your clients, June, to bring humor into their businesses.
Of course. The first thing I'm going to ask you to do, anyone within ear range of this broadcast, is to think about your idiot moment. I call them IMOs, idiot moments. And what I'm asking you to do is to think about the time that was less than stellar. Maybe you tripped, or you locked your keys in your car, or you locked yourself out of the house naked. That's a sad story. That is not, it's not a sordid tale, but it is a sad tale of me locking myself out of the house, trying to get the garbage out to the curb. But I did have a raincoat on, but there's a long story that I tell in my audiences of having to knock on my neighbor's door naked under a raincoat, because I was just fixing to get in the shower when I heard the backup beeping noise. And I was like, oh my gosh, my husband and I had been traveling for so long. I knew our house was going to be condemned if I didn't get the trash to the curb. So it became a sad, long story, but it's an IMO, it's an idiot moment that makes a point that you will live, even if you lock yourself out of the house, somewhat naked.
And scaring the neighbours along the way as well, June.
Yes. Yes, they were scared, because I see the backstory is it was August and it was really hot that day. And here I come over, they open up their door and I've got on my Cabbage Patch shoes. See, I'm dating myself. Do y'all remember? Do you remember Cabbage Patch dolls and the shoes?
I do.
Yes. And I'm standing there with those and a trench coat, like this massive raincoat that it was just, are you kidding me? So they were like, hi. And I think they wanted to just close the door really quickly.
So how important is it for us to bring humor and laughter in today's modern world? We have been through a global pandemic, June. It's been a really testing year or so now, and at times we do need more humor. And why do you feel it's so important to bring humor into business in this modern world?
Well, I'm so grateful you're asking that question, Mark, because it's been a terrible time. We're still in the middle of a terrible time. And I think our inclination is to think that humor is inappropriate or doesn't work. And of course, that can be the case. But that's one of the reasons I teach you to go inward first. You've got to tell on yourself first, like I just told on myself. And I'm doing calls now. I have a speech coming up in a few weeks, and I want to know what's the most stupid IMO, idiot moment that you've had during COVID. And I just want to say I'm not making light of anybody that's lost anything, anyone, just our way of life is, I was talking to people the other day and they told me I've gotten 3 different emotions from people, that they are either pissed, overwhelmed, or I forgot the pissed, overwhelmed, and I forgot the third one, but I'll think of it. And it was like, oh goodness, that's the emotion. That's what you tell. Those are the stories. And what has happened? Do you have an example, Mark, of anything, put you on the spot a little bit, any IMO that you've had because of COVID?
You have put me on the spot and I can't think of one straight away. I'm sure there's been plenty, June. I just can't think of one straight away.
No worries. Let me jump back in and I'll tell you mine. And bored is the last, the pissed, overwhelmed, and bored. Those are the 3 emotions that I'm hearing when I'm asking people, how has this been for you? What are you doing? How are you managing this? And they're not thinking to go there with the emotion of that to be able to find the funny. So I have an example of, and I know it's controversial worldwide, the shot, and then marinating, having to be in the process to get the second shot or the whatever. And I'm certainly not going political, but I am going to tell you that I did choose to get the shot, the first. There were 2, and it didn't hurt. I mean, I slid my shirt down. They gave me the shot. I went away. And then later that evening, about 4 hours later, I thought, my shoulder a little bit, and I'm sitting in the den with my darling, and I reach over and feel this hump, this bump on my arm that just startled me. So I was like, oh my God, my arm is so swollen. There is a huge hump on my arm. And Jerry, my darling, he panicked and he comes over to the couch where I'm sitting. He says, let me see. And I slide my shirt down, and Mark, there is a Band-Aid with a cotton ball the size of Texas. So I have this huge bump that I hadn't even noticed. It's a cotton ball. I mean, there was nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. But I went into fear and panic and overwhelm and all of the emotions that scare us and keep us locked down and keep us in fear. So to the extent that we can really laugh at ourselves first, that's what I'm telling my people to do. Come up with your idiot moment, your IMO. And just by us talking about it today, that thing that I do about going ape, the A stands for awareness. And I want you to start today. If you're hearing this, hearing my voice, just start. I call it fixing to begin to commence to start. You're fixing to begin to commence to start to look for the funny and to look for how it could be funny. And it'll start popping up. You'll start noticing it more. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, June. And do you feel people may be scared to use humor because some people don't crack many jokes, some people don't laugh a lot, especially in business? Do you think that's fear? Do you think that's coming from a scared place?
I think it's a lot of things, Mark. Number one, yes, fear. I'm going to be the first to tell you it is risky to use fear, to use humor. It really is. It's a risk because it may not be perceived and are interpreted the way you meant. So how many times have you had to say, just kidding? And I want you to really think about that. I'm writing an article now called The Cost of Just Kidding. Does that make sense?
It does. And sometimes when people say just kidding, it can give you the impression that they mean it as well, June.
Well, what it means, Mark, is that they made you the butt of the joke. And that there are three things, three R's that I have to share with you to keep you out of humor hot water, as I call it. Number one, you have to be realistic with whether your humor is pointed out or pointed in. And what I mean by that, again, who's paying for the joke? So if you make a throwaway line to somebody, I can't even come up with one right this moment, and yet there's this pregnant pause, and then you have to feel like you have to say, just kidding. Well, then that's like it's their fault that they didn't get it. You're the one that made them the butt of the joke. So it's your cost. You may not even realize it's been a cost to you, but then there's a distance, or they start backing off of you as a relationship, as a relationship. And so it has to be, that's why I teach and preach, come up with your IMOs, your idiot moments, so that you can tell on yourself first. That usually then lends to them saying, oh yeah, me too. And they'll start telling their idiot moment. And now you've got some camaraderie over whatever the emotion of it is. And that's how you start to build a relationship. So it's got to be real, relevant, and relationships. So if you're trying to call back something that was a long time ago or painful or hurtful, that's not a smart way to go necessarily. So that's why I want you to see, okay, how relevant is this for our time right now?
Got you. And so what I am getting, it's vital to use humor, but it's knowing how to use it in the right way so that you don't cause offense to others, and other people will then get that you're using humor, and hopefully you may even get a laugh and a giggle, because at the end of the day, that's the whole point of using humor. So it's about knowing how to use it and using it tactfully in the correct way. June, we're just about to go to a commercial break, so stay with us. We're here with June Cline. She has been sharing why we all need to find our idiot moment and bring humour into our businesses and into our lives. Join us after the commercial break. Welcome back to Brilliance Business TV, conversations with leading experts in business. We're here with the amazing June Cline. She has got a little bit of a lag today, so we're working with what we have got. It's live television and you just have to go with the flow. So June has been sharing why we all need to find our idiot moment and use humour in our business and in life. June, welcome back to Brilliance Business TV.
Thank you, Mark.
It's great to have you here. So June, could you just share a little bit about the kinds of services and products that you offer your clients?
Absolutely. And thank you for asking. I am really revving up everything right now, even as we speak. I am, um, I have comedic styles that we'll reference a little bit later for people to understand. We were already talking about the relevance and the way people have to understand. It's an art form, really, Mark. It's an art form to use humor, what I call to be savvy. Uh, I'm Southern sassy and savvy around using humor. So you have to know who you are, bring you out more. And so that's one of the things I'm doing. As a matter of fact, this Monday, I'm not sure when people will be hearing this all the time, all over the place, but on May 3rd through the 7th, I am doing a free masterclass on the 5 steps that help people to initiate laughter. So I call it the ROI of LOL, the return on investment of laughing out loud. When you initiate laughter, it changes people's brains. They think about you and they feel different. They feel different about you. You make them feel more better, as I like to say, because it is changing their brain chemistry. So that's the thing that I'm launching right now. So you're going to need to take the humor quiz. It's on my site. You're then going to be invited through a link to a private group, and we're going to go through this 5-step process. It's going to be short, 2:22 Eastern time for 22.2 minutes. Because I think everybody's zoomed out. They've got Zoom butt. Do you know what that is?
Well, it is what it says is on the tin, isn't it, June?
I call it platypus butt because it was really early on. I'm sitting in this chair for hours like all of us are, and I could just feel my butt spreading like a platypus bill. And I finally looked up platypus, and it's a cross between a duck and Jack Daniels. I'm just kidding. But that's what I'm talking about, is how we can be playful with where we are and what we're going through with this pandemic. Everybody's sick of it. They're sick of it. And we're sick of most Zooms. Not this one. This one is awesome. It's amazing. You do a great job. I love brilliance, that you use brilliance, because we do have to stay in our brilliance.
I love that you're bringing humour to the world, June, and you come from a good, loving place from the heart, and you're really passionate about it. And I really, really love what you're doing. My next question, June, you did touch on it a little bit there. When you are using humor and you make someone smile and you make someone laugh, it does change how you see that person. It kind of makes you like them a lot more because it brings like a connection. Now, you talk about know, like, and trust a lot. Tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. It's made me what I am today. And it's the oldest business formula on the planet. I mean, I think Moses must have brought it in, because that's what we talk about with business. Do they know you, like you, trust you? It's almost a cliche to the point that I don't want to use it. However, it's so appropriate and real, because what we're just saying and what I said earlier, I can trace every single job and promotion that I received when I was in corporate for over 20 years, because I savvily made made a boss or someone in a more influential position recognize me, be visible. I became visible to them. So that then when I made them laugh, again, going back to that brain chemistry, it became know, like, trust. So let me give you a prime example. And I really didn't even know what I was doing back then, but I went for a job interview, and this gentleman came up, and looked kind of like a maitre d'. I mean, he was tall and erudite, distinguished, and he kind of clapped his feet together, almost snapped them together, and said, "They're ready for you now." And I'm in an interview. I've never been in a "they're ready for you now." So I'm following him down the hallway now, going, "They? Who are they? How many are they? What do they want? Oh my gosh." And I started to really panic. We turned right, and thank goodness, Mark, like 2 steps into the room, there was the hot seat, and there was a table. I don't know if y'all remember the Twilight Zone, dating myself again, but it was like that table stretched on forever. And it did, because it had 20 people around it, committee members that were interviewing me for that job. And my knees literally collapsed into the chair. And there's this group of people with that placid funeral smile. And I was so nervous, I channeled my grandma, and I said, "Well, if I'd known y'all were coming, I'd have baked a cake." It cracked the audience. It cracked the committee up. And later, about a week later, after I'd been in the job about a week, one of the committee members came down and stood in the doorway of my new office and said, "There's the funny one." And I just kind of thought, I don't know if that's good or bad. And she said, "We were interviewing 27 people for this job, and we really had quite a shoe-in. It was the second cousin, thrice removed, of one of the people that worked at the college, and she was supposed to get the job, but they kept referring back to the funny one. Go back to the funny one." Now, did I have to be qualified for the position? Absolutely. And yet, that's a prime example of becoming the funny one with not a joke, but a moment, and being savvy enough to say it. And the awkwardness and the tension, we talk about that in some of my coursework. Some of that naturally will bring the laugh. But that made me be known, liked, and trust. Know, like, trust. They started referring back to the funny one, and they liked me, and they felt I could be trusted. I had the skills.
That is just a prime example of how bringing laughter and lifting someone with a smile can instantly build a connection. It will make them drawn to you, like you, and it can open up opportunities, and it can also make you be remembered and create an impact, because if you make someone laugh, they're going to remember you with a good feeling as well, because when you make someone laugh, you're bringing up a good feeling in them. And that was just a perfect example of that, June. Now, you also talk about how to earn recognition, respect, and reward. Go through this with us a little bit, June.
Well, when people ask, what's the outcome? What's the payoff? What's the solution? Those are an additional 3 R's: recognition, respect, and reward. Because of what I just said, I got recognition. They remembered me. I got respect because I had made them laugh. And the reward was I got the job. And so recognition, respect, and reward is the payoff. When you initiate laughter appropriately, with smarts, I was being sassy and savvy. So I want you to understand I was being true to myself. Go back to that history of family where I cut my teeth on sarcasm. Yeah, I was being just a titch sarcastic there as well. And all of that led me to recognition, respect, and reward. And it can come in different ways. For instance, I was talking about the job, and then getting different promotions and different positions to advance up. But I also want to bring in the health part of it as well right now. And the other thing I want to say is that brain chemistry, because you're right. I have people that they light up when they see me. And that's not about me, that's about them, and that's about you changing that brain chemistry. So I'm going to give you an example of a story, a short version of a long time ago when I had to have major surgery, and I was scared. I was terrified. My husband was a wreck about it as well. And I thought, I've got to do something to lighten this up. Well, as luck would have it, some of my colleagues, I was still in corporate back then, gave me a card that had some stickers in the card and said, this is how I want to be treated during surgery. And so I smuggled that card into the hospital room. And when I went and put on the gown, I had this card and I put those stickers all over me. I had no hypos here, right in my elbow, this side up, ticklish area. And then I had they had some blanks that you could make them. And I put one on my backside that said, what you doing looking back here? So I had these stickers on. And so I came out of the bathroom, I opened the door, slammed it open, it hit the wall, made a heck of a noise, and I just flashed my gown. Here, I got a naked thing going on today, and I really didn't mean to, and see, now that's a callback that I just did. So whether it's a good one or not for this group, I don't know. But the point is, I did flash him, and I think the one most surprised was the pastor. Who had come in to pray with us. And he came in Southern Baptist, but he went out something because he was crossing himself and looking down and pushing away and going down the hallway. And, we all had a good laugh, but also then I'll go ahead and tell, I kept those stickers on when they took me into surgery. And the nurse, when she removed my gown, she said, what is this? And I said, these are instructions on how I want to be treated during surgery. And she said, hey, y'all, come look at this. And all this team it felt like 100 people, but it was like at least 15. And they're laughing and pointing at me, wearing nothing but a smile on my stickers. And then, this is the amazing thing, Mark, they started raising their pant leg, their surgical suits, and they had on crazy, funny, different socks. It was who could find the craziest sock. That was their outlet in the OR. Do you see what I'm saying? It's so powerful. You can't not do it. You can't afford not to initiate laughter.
You have made me see even more the importance of humour, laughter, June. I already use it a lot. I'm a funny sense of humour guy, but we can sometimes let life take over and go a little bit on the serious side. And you've really lifted me up today and brought me back to life is meant to be a little bit fun. We're meant to have a giggle, and it doesn't always have to be serious. Tell us a little bit about your quiz, June, and who is this quiz for? Who would you like to come and take this quiz?
I'm going to flash back to the story just for one more little minute, because when I did go back to see my doctor at my 6-week checkup, she said, well, there's the star of the OR, recognition, respect, reward. And she said, I ended up being healing very quickly after she checked me out, and she said, I knew you would heal quickly because of your sense of humor. And so what I'm now asking people to do, I want the entire world to take the humor quiz, because it's going to reveal the way you initiate humor, just simple words. It takes 2 minutes to take it, maybe. And you're just going to check off the way you initiate humor. And then that will give you a style. And then you'll get a little surprise of me coming on in video and telling you a little bit more. And it helps people so much. It changes teams and families, because I've had mothers say, oh my gosh, my kid is always telling me you hurt my feelings, or you always make fun of me. And she's being funny, and her style is totally opposite of what she now knows that her kid's style is. And there was that conflict. So it's massively helpful for relationships, for company culture, comedic culture. I can do a whole thing around a team. We get a specific link for them, and then we get to discover what percentage of them are, the 4 styles are crazy, caring, cerebral, and caustic. And none are right or wrong. We have them all, every bit of it, and we should. But we have a preference, which is influenced by our history, our humor history, and our habits. Do we point humor out? Is it relevant? Are we hurting our relationships? Those are the type things. So when people take the quiz, and especially teams and our individual, especially dating, I've got a group of a new company that is all about dating, and they want to use my comedic styles to help people understand at the initiation meeting part if their humor is compatible.
So I would encourage everyone, if you need that little bit of humor in your business, in life, you want to find your idiot moment, share it with others so they share their idiot moment with you. But on a serious note, we do need humor. We do need to smile. It's been a tough year for many in business, and bringing humor back into our lives can only be a great thing. Go to the humor quiz at junecline.com. June, thank you so much for being on Brilliance Business TV. I've really enjoyed having a conversation with you today.
I think you're brilliant to have this channel, and also brilliant to emphasize the power of initiating laughter. Thank you for having me, Mark.
It's been my pleasure.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.